mountain scenery behind as I return back to the airport. It's the last real day, in my opinion, of touring. I have a short ride tomorrow. My goal today is as little leg-killing pedaling as possible because I really am getting pretty tired. I calculated what my mileage for the trip will be. It's going to be 750 miles in, 13 days? To put that in perspective, I usually do that much mileage in about 7 weeks at home. So it was an ambitious undertaking. More like a goat path than the bike route. With the rain last night and this morning, I wasn't sure what the path would be like, but it does look okay. Look at the goats. Bah. Come here, goats. Bah. Bah. Hi. Bah. Have you ever seen a Velomobile? No? Yeah, come closer, come check it out. I guess they're not that interested. The impression that this section of the Radweg maybe doesn't get a lot of traffic. It's I don't know, it feels kind of extra rustic. And to be honest, this area is not as exciting. Really, Innsbruck to Funzes and Martina is probably the nicest section. Even around Innsbruck, it's not that exciting of riding. It raindrops at the moment, so we're getting the daily rain out of the way here. This is, of course, a requirement for this year's tour. I am in some small little village, winding here and there, and then it's back to a longer stretch of gravel. I did look at some options for bypassing the gravel, but there weren't any that seemed like a very good option. And that was the case when I was planning the tour as well. Hello, horsies, you're very chill. So now begins the big long gravel stretch, and after that I leave the inn and I start to cut cross country towards Halbergmoos and the airport. Anyway, the rain has continued as just a very light sprinkle, and based on the weather forecast, it shouldn't last for very long and it shouldn't get very heavy. And as annoying as it is that it keeps raining, it is cooler. And after roasting yesterday, cooler is actually not so bad. Getting to pick up a little bit. I'm gonna get my first shower of the day. If I had a towel along, I could clean the mud off of the poor urban. Incredibly fun spot to ride if it was paved. It would be ridiculously fast. It's not bad gravel though. Every once in a while there's a little patch of kind of loose stuff that increases the rolling resistance. This is the looser stuff I was talking about. It's almost as if somebody came by with a truck and dumped loose rock over top of the existing substrate. This is going to be slow going regardless of what bike you're riding. I don't have good data access right now. I don't know if my phone is struggling to switch back to the German network or if I'm just too much in the middle of nowhere. I wanted to check how much farther this gravel goes because, well, I've kind of had enough of riding it. They stretch for speed testing. Reminds me a little bit of my test stretch at home where I go to do 30-mile-an-hour aerodynamic testing, but if you're hoping to see me air the urban out, sorry, today's not the day for that kind of thing. That is the most bizarre place to park a postal truck thing. I have come to the conclusion that actually German and Austrian roads are really not that much better than American ones. I am, I think, still on the official Radweg. I'm not sure where I cut cross country yet. Something to look at, whether it's big fat cows or lovely little farms, open farm fields, trees, mountains off in the distance. Makes the miles go by more quickly. I am only 9 kilometers away from Bad Fernbach. I had no idea I was that close. Bad Fernbach is significant because there's a big hill there. And that is on the Bodensee-Königssee Radweg. And I rode there on my second tour. And that hill was something that I trained for basically all spring at an unannounced construction zone. Like everybody else right now. So it's time to take a little detour here, which my GPS is tremendously upset about. Oh, look at that hot shot. To the back streets of Radweg. This is where I begin to cut cross country away from the Inn River. Towards Halbergmoos. You can see we're already leaving the mountains behind. Here outside Radweg, entering Moos. There are some bits of hills to come today, but nothing like what I've had the last couple days. These are the kind of little roads that really are the most interesting to ride. There's generally not much of any traffic. You get to pass through tiny little communities. See people's yards. There's something different all the time to look at, like deer. To the outskirts of Rosenheim. I didn't realize that I passed this close to Rosenheim with my route. I try as much as possible to avoid big cities because it's usually a lot slower riding, and of course obviously far more traffic. Seeing this on the map, I don't remember now what river it's called, and I'm not going to look it up at the moment. But I remember there is a bike path along a little river that comes and eventually dumps into the inn. If I see a recumbent trike, I saw a lot of hand bikes in Italy, but I think this is the only recumbent trike I've seen. Taken video in quite a while. That would be because I'm riding through Gross Karolinenfeld, and well, there's nothing to see at all between the road and the Radweg, and it really could go either way in this spot. Like standing there putting the chain back on. The skies opened up with a nice little downpour. So by the time I got the chain back on and pulled out the foam cover, I was already pretty wet. So that was fun. But now that the sun's out, I should dry out pretty quickly. I'm coming up to the part of the ride where there's the most elevation gain between here and Grafing by München. And then from there, it's mostly downhill-ish. I believe you can still see the mountains along the horizon. So we're not quite far enough north yet for them to disappear. Of drivers are very nice here, though I'd personally prefer they give a little bit more space when they pass. But there's always that one exception, and I just had one a little bit ago. A jerk in a silver station wagon of all things. They took exception to my presence and gave a very long, rude beep, followed by the finger. I think this is the longer climb I saw on my map. Spots like this, I would really like to have a bike path to ride on, so that I'm not slowing down the 4 cars on the road. In the background again, the mountains on the horizon. Yesterday, that's where I was. It's kind of crazy to think just how much can change in just 24 hours. How far a bike can carry you. Completely under your own power. Grafing is 3 kilometers away. And then from there, there's a little bit more downhill. The extensive climb of the day, I guess, is yet to come. Just looking at the map, it looks like it's on the north side of Grafing by München. Ride ugly gravel. But my GPS routed me over here, and I don't know, I'm not liking the traffic on that main road. I don't think anybody's going to run me over, but it was just getting mentally fatiguing. All that wood. It smells wonderful. With the name Berg in them, B-E-R-G, are never a good sign, because usually that means they're on top of a hill. I believe this is the high point finally for today. In addition, you can see some storm clouds are moving in again, and the humidity is relatively high. Ebersberg. Let's repeat our magic of the last 5 miles. We're getting closer to the area around the airport, which is this massive dead flat plain. Back all the nice things I said about this Radweg. This one leaves something to be desired. Well, this is not paved. My nice little stretch of Radweg has ended. Things you can't see on the map when you choose stuff. Actual real world conditions. Yeah, I'm quite disappointed in this route. The route I had to Wasserburg from Halbergmoos last year was a very nice route. But this route going back is kind of the pits. I think maybe I'm in Marktschwaben. I do not understand why the bike route, the signed bike route, takes you through the heart of Marktschwaben, because this is a really awful place to cycle. But I sat in the middle of the town in traffic, like a legitimate traffic jam. It was terrible. Tailed by a BMW. And the colorings look like one that I am familiar with. I love these little streets with the trees along the edge of them. There's several of them out here by the airport. Just a few kilometers left. I've just entered Velomobile, and that is actually the town where my hotel is. Symbolically, this is the end of the tour, but really there's some mileage yet tomorrow. The bike needs to go back to Velo, to my friend by far my earliest arrival of the trip. It's 4:45 p.m. All right, over and out until tomorrow and the ride to Hoville.